weather conditions or large gathering, full court basketball game. This is a space where a lot can go on. Okay, the next slide. One of the program items that we've started to develop further is the horticulture program. There's an outdoor horticulture space also on the third floor of the facility where the program spaces generally are located in this building. And again, ample views outside, abundant plantings there, whether for actual horticulture programming or simply to have a space to gather that's among the plants, which itself can be very beneficial and therapeutic for individuals. Is a significant design priority and programmatic one of the jail. Next slide. All right. I'll go to the public.
Thank you, Larry. Okay, thank you. All right, we got some great comments in our second meeting of the community, also Monday night. But for the second meeting, we really talked a lot about the plant material. Everybody wanted some more information about plants. People were concerned about allergies. People were concerned about color in the landscape. We've shown a very kind of generic grouping before in our renderings, so we updated that to add a lot of these elements. We can go to the next slide, please. And so, as I say, we've added color, we've added more plant material, and the other issue that came up was what are we going to do to try to discourage loitering on the site. So we have some photos to show you there. Under discussion, as Larry mentioned, still as what we can do to continue to make the streetscape nice and brightly lit. We're still considering art in the landscape, although the percentage for art program is a separate program from what we're doing, as well as a good idea to add a land acknowledgement. So we're continuing to discuss that. Thank you. Next slide. Okay, so the plan here builds on what we had before. It's not a great departure from what we've already shown previously, but there are a couple of big changes. That's what please start with today. There are fewer plant beds, but they're much bigger. So we eliminated some small little pieces there to big open areas where plants get the rest air and water and soil. We've taken all the standalone planters out of the planting, so they're literally separate again from the plants in this area grow. And the third thing is really dizzy main entry, the public lobby entry, to reflect the formality of the building a little bit more. Okay, so those are the main items there. New to some of you is the information on the barriers. So the whole program has to be completely encircled by protective barriers. And so these little red dots you see marching around the perimeter there are those protective items. They are all located along the curve inside the plant right grade, so that we can kind of disguise them a bit and really downplay them. If you go to the next slide, you can see what these elements are. So we start with a typical crash-rated bollard that you see all over the city. Within the planters, we've added crossbars so that they can read more like a fence and less like a bollard. And then we built them in both into the seating arrangements that are on the street, as well as into the planters. So they're disguised in there, but they're actually still doing their job protecting the site. Next slide, please. Okay, we have some comments about what's going on above the street level. So we do have additional planting on the second floor, the third floor, and fourth floor roof areas. The dark green is the deeper soil planting, intensive planting. So that's really going to be a screen that's between the actual facility and then the HVP housing that's coming along afterward. So that'll kind of screen it a little bit. And then the lime green areas with the white, those are kind of a flat seeded roof. It's 3 seasons of color. And then we've sown some additional pollinator plants and plants that have some sort of blooming time during the season. So that even though you're not going out on those roofs, they're pleasant to look at. Next slide, please. The plants themselves, this is the first time some of you are probably seeing the plant palette. As you can see, I think this goes a long way to answering the request for color. We got a lot of color here, and this is gonna, we're gonna have color from the fall, and then spring and summer. It's gonna be year round, obviously except for the winter. The plant palette is meets all the requirements for the New York City Parks Department and DOT. These are tough, hardy plants that are going to live with a a minimum of maintenance, at least with the street side, and the street side plants will probably not have water either, so these are tough plants. They are also very carefully selected because they're low pollen producers, and this was a request from the community to be able to meet. And then, yeah, a lot of them really are very attractive to pollinators, which is another request. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's our updated renderings. This is a little more zoomed in than what Larry showed you. The previous version had some of the indigenous folders here. It was a lot more informal, and there was a feeling that we could really kind of step this up and make this just a little bit more important the way the facade looks. So we've been able to add more planting on either side of the entrance, as well as formalized seating, so that it's a little bit more comfortable. Next slide, please. This is the southern plaza area that Larry alluded to. Also, here again, the planting spaces got bigger and we were able to add more seating to this area. And you'll notice in this particular slide that we now have bench backs. So all of the benches are going to have these wood-like slats on them, so that adds a bit of color there. And the concrete for all of our low walls and benches is going to be a colored concrete too. That's going to coordinate with the building. So not, we're not talking about a whole ceiling frame. Just the perimeter bollards and things will be right. Next slide, please. And this is an example of the streetscape on all three sides. On the upper right there, that's a new rendering that shows the drop-off area. This has always been a big concern for everybody. Where's the drop-off? What's it going to look like? How's it going to function? So we have seating on either sides of that drop-off, so if you're waiting for Uber or a family member or loved one to pick you up, you've got a place to sit while you're doing it. Next slide. And that is it for us.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Just hold this, make sure we have any questions.
Thank you. At this time, I'm going to ask the community board members, if they have any questions for the presenters. Mr. Barr.
Thank you very much for the presentation. I have two questions. How are you guys going to hire and fulfill the Section 3 obligation within the community? And is the PLA, Project Labor Agreement, attached to this for the city of New York?
So, on the PLA, yes.
Sir, you have a mic here.
Known as the TRD.
Thank you very much.
Joseph Mizzi, project executive for TOG, the design builder. So, yeah, there's a PLA in place for all four of the road-based jail projects. It's in place and could be available. It may be available online.
All right, so my name is Danny Barber, and I am the city line chair to the New York City Housing Authority. So what I'm about to say to you is the project labor agreement that the New York City signed is a violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Because the Civil Rights Act says when you come into a community to build, you will hire from low to very low income communities. There's nothing in that language that states you have to be a part of a union in order to get work in the city of New York. That was Mayor Bill de Blasio that did that. The bill was introduced by Jumaane Williams. It was introduced as Intro 1447. I know for a fact because my colleagues and I fought it all the way to 1447E, where de Blasio and NYCHA's executives signed it in the middle of the night while we were sleeping. So my question to you, I guess now, is that we know, how will the community get work? Will you guys sponsor the residents of the community into the union? How will they get work to work where they live at? Because you're not gonna get a good turnout from the community to bring somebody that doesn't look like them, that doesn't live with them, that constantly keep coming in and they're continually told that they can't work where they live at because they're not in a union.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with obviously you are not familiar with some of the details of the project labor agreement. I do know that we have in the past on other projects in Manhattan, for instance, in Harlem. We've worked with the unions to provide access for small businesses below a certain value to participate in the project. Jerry Body is here, is leading our WBE outreach efforts, and we are going to be working to ensure opportunities for local residents to be part of the workforce and the project team.
So in other words, you just guys are saying nicely that the community, because in New York City, with the project labor agreement in place, if the union, no one is sponsoring them into a union, they can't get the 60 hours to get the temporary card to go to work for that company, to go on to that construction site. So they gotta do 60 hours first before the union will take them and put them into the union to get on that book where they gotta pay that $700 for.
I will say I'm one of the principals of the Oceana Construction, and we are signatory of Local 79, the labor's union, and we do and will make opportunities available to local individuals to join Local 79 and to be employed by our company.
So for the record, this meeting is being recorded.
Yes,
You are honestly saying that your organization, your company, will work closely with Local 79 to hire and get sponsorship into the unions within this community.
yes.
I'm gonna give you my business card at the end of this
Thank you.
meeting. Thank you, sir.
Cesar York.
Thank you. I have two questions. One of them has to do with NG. This building is a big building. When you look at it, right now, based on projections, it's going to be a lot of heat waves because of climate issues, and then it's going to be a lot of demand on energy. And it seems that the context of that building, the other buildings are smaller. I just wanted to know how much energy does it produce in the winter and how much energy you need in the summer to have this running. If there's a blackout, it also, it has solar panels there as well. I have a question for that later.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, our design architects can speak specifically to the requirements of the cooling and heating, but those are photovoltaic panels, and there are provisions which we'll speak to as well, for the connection of emergency generators in the case of a power outage. So,
No, sorry. So the question was, how much energy
yeah,
do you consume in the winter and the summer in that building? What's the projection?
he's going to speak to that. I don't know if it is exact calculation, but he'll speak to the concept.
No, I can't tell you the numbers, how many megawatts of energy the building uses. We've taken the design into account, consulted with Con Ed about about the available infrastructure that will be in place in service that will run the building. The building is being designed to meet the requirements of LEED Gold certification, so there will be a lower energy use off of a baseline for a comparable building. And as Joe mentioned, there are photovoltaic panels planned for the building, which will provide a small measure of renewable energy. There are generators built within the building that will allow for continuous operation should there be a power failure.
Second question. I used to be a business volunteer for the Osborne Association. So we were working in the Green Career Center, and then we have people that were formerly incarcerated learn about solar energy and photovoltaics. So they were told that in order for them to go to the energy field. So we have something like that. I mean, since we have solar panels, we have something regarding some programming in which they could learn about these things, about how to install these things. So that's not part of it.
All right, hold on.
We have someone here from the Department of Correction that will speak to that. Alex Maldonado.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Alice Maldonado, and I am the Assistant Commissioner for Strategic Operations, and I oversee the Borough Beach Jail program on behalf of the department. To answer your question about programming, we're open to all sorts of ideas about programming. Definitely when we look into the future of this state-of-the-art building, we have a lot of different opportunities than we would on Rikers Island for our incarcerated population. So I think there would definitely be room for that, but we don't have specifics on what kind of programming just yet that we'll be able to provide in these buildings.
Thank you.
Ms. Burns? Ms. Burns?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. We definitely know there's going to be security inside the prison, but you're in a community where there's a lot of people around. What kind of assurances are there going to be for the protection of the people in the community from, let's say, people going to visit that get rowdy or want to hang out or, cause trouble around the area, around the building?
You may be able to use the podium. Try that, Mike.
Leave it on.
Gotta get close.
There you go. Okay, turn it on. Okay. Thank you so much, Robert. Okay, that's a great question. So the Department of Correction would be responsible for the perimeter of the building. So we would ensure that, for example, there was no loitering in sort of the public space. We would ensure that there was no sort of the disruption or the disturbance that you sort of described. But obviously NYPD would be responsible for anything sort of outside the perimeter of our building.
Ma'am, just to piggyback off of my colleague, Mr. York's question. So Caesar asked about, you said you guys are willing to look into different programs. Are you willing today to make a commitment to Community Planning Board 1 that you will work with the community board as well as the community to help to develop such potential programs that could be potentially used for those that are going to be housed in this facility?
I can definitely make that commitment to work with you guys to think about how we can collaborate on developing programming for the individuals, or either incarcerated or formerly incarcerated in the neighborhood.
Thank you very much for your commitments and for coming up.
Anyone else from Community Board 1? So I have two questions. For clarity, for those who don't know, could you just remind everyone here what the price tag for this project is as of right now?
Price tag is, I turned it off.
Thank you.
No. The budget for this facility is $2.9 billion.
So for everyone, $2.9 billion. B, not F, B. And when do you, yes, you can close your mouth. When do you anticipate, I understand that there's already the grounds for the building. When do you anticipate setting that first piece of steel, and when is the expected completion date?
The first task of construction will be concrete foundations. Second, roughly June 2026, so roughly a year from now. The substantial completion date is the second quarter of 2031.
Thank you. I'm going to allow, if there's anyone from the community that wants to ask a question, raise your hand. No questions? Thank you. Thank you very much for coming. Thank you. Mr. District Manager, do we have quorum? No quorum. We're going to keep moving ahead, but before we do that, I want to take the time and address all the members of the board and the community. I took a few minutes ago to write a statement, and I want to read it carefully, and I want everyone to listen to me very carefully about what I have to say. And I wrote it so I wouldn't forget anything, and I want to be very careful with the wording. So after Ms. Brenda Goodwin, I am probably the longest serving member of this board for 16 years. I've never seen the disrespect for this community in this body by the chair of this board and her followers. Democracy has a process. She became chair last year, and all we've seen is chaos and discontent and bylaws amendment schemes. When her own bylaws were applied and it didn't benefit her. She schemed to circumvent the process of the elections, and we have to ask for clarity via the board request to the borough president's office. This was last month. The borough president's office immediately responded with a clear and written response that this board would be in violation of the bylaws and that we must hold elections now in June. Even after that response, she tried to finagle the board in an executive board meeting 2 weeks ago, and for our members to reconsider with the end goal to move the vote until September or November. That didn't work out. We voted to follow the instructions set forth by the borough president's office to vote today. And here we are. She called out, and we have no quorum. I've been informed by certain members of this body that calls were made to members not to show up today. Everyone in this room has a stake in this community, whether it's business, home ownership, developers, nonprofits, or social service programs. The work of this community always must come first, period, stop. And I implore everyone in this room to call, email, or text the VP's office tomorrow and express their dissatisfaction with the rogue group of people who claim to be with the community instead of them being consumed with quest for power. Please include this statement. This is my personal statement, Freddie Perez, First Life Care Community Board. Saying that, let's move on. Is anyone here from the 40th precinct? Sir, yeah, before.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Good evening. I don't know, I've been working all day. I'm the newly checked in XO at the 40th precinct. I guess I'll introduce myself. I had my time when I first started, back in 2008, I was assigned to the 44th precinct. Did about 5.5 years at the 44th precinct. Got promoted, went some time over at East Harlem, New York, PSA 5. I was there so my CO couldn't make it today, Inspector Townham, so. Captain Jose Ramos. Alright, so, within my time in East Harlem, I also had some time in Central Harlem as a lieutenant, and some time in Manhattan with the cops. And now I'm here. I'm glad to be here, it's been 10 years waiting to come back to the Bronx. I look forward to working with each and every one of you and address any concerns that you guys may have.
Do you have any stats?
I don't have any stats with me at this time.
Does anyone from the board have a question for the forum?
If you don't mind me saying, I looked at the stats. I don't have the stats right in front of me. However, I can tell you more or less we're up in burglaries. Okay. All right. This week, as of Wednesday, we took 8 burglaries. We're up in robberies and up in grand larcenies as well.
Okay, this is a little bit of a delicate question, but I'm going to ask it. So it's like, I'm an immigrant, and then but I've been a citizen for over 25 years. And then I know other people that are affected by what's happening with the administration. So the question to you, will you value the administration or will you value us as a community to protect us in this case?
If you can rephrase the question.
Let me rephrase it. So, let me see. So there's concerns with the immigrant community regarding what's happening with ICE and all that stuff. And I'm also an immigrant, and when I walk, it's a little bit scary at times. So, and then I know a lot of things are happening with the administration that they're not following the Constitution and the law. So I'm like, will it come in a way that you have to make a decision? Either you follow the Constitution or you follow them.
So in regards to that question, I mean, I would advise if you can probably reach out to DCPI for formal, status on that. They're gonna answer any questions. However, I can say that NYPD, work hand in hand with the community, right? We have protocols that we abide by. So in regards to what you mentioned, as violating, constitutional rights, every citizen as well, anyone in New York City has constitutional rights, and we abide by that. We ensure that everybody is served and treated the same way, regardless of their immigration status.
Just for clarification, that's okay. For clarification, there's a difference between abiding by and protecting the citizens from. And I think that's the point that he's trying to make, is if there's an incident where ICE comes on and then say his constitutional rights are being violated, will you protect him from that violation? Not will you enforce it on your behalf, but will you protect him from ICE for violating or attempting to violate his civil rights? That's, I think, clarify me if I'm wrong.
No, I understand your question, but like I said very well, if it's in regards to the department policy as it relates to, any ICE enforcement, and as it relates to NYPD and our duties, I mean, look, like, at the end of the day, we're gonna take action on our part, right? We're not gonna be able to get a formal, right, response. I would advise to reach out to the Deputy Commissioner of Public Information, that way it can be a formal response.
Sir, can you state your name for the record? We're live. Yeah, you asked the question.
No, that's okay. My name's Kevin Stone.
Thank you.
I represent Jobs Plus. I'm the assistant director there.
Thank you. I'm asking the board members questions first, and then I'll ask the community second. Mr. Morrow.
My apologies.
Okay. So I think it's more of the community is basically what is NY. We hear a lot from the media, we see a lot on the television, the radio will tell you something else. What is NYPD's policy for the record? Since there's people watching this live stream that didn't come out tonight, so that people know, what is NYPD's policy on ICE detainment or you guys detaining someone for ICE?
In regards to the NYPD policy, like I said, to get a formal response, you would have to reach out to DCPI on it. Now, as it relates to our duties, we do not ask for immigration status from any victims nor any, perpetrators of crimes at this time.
Anyone else, any board member have any questions? Ms. Burns?
Let's close our. I just want to say a positive note about your quality of care program where people are doing 311s. I've done several, and I find if you put your contact information, it's better because the police officer actually calls you and says, oh, I went to this place and I took action and I asked them to turn the music down or this or whatever. Or if they want more information, like they don't find the place that you complained about. So I'm saying it's been a positive thing so far, and I recommend people do it. It's very quick. You do it on, there's a 311 app. It takes a minute and they do respond. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else have any questions? Any board member? Anyone from the community? Raise your hand, please. Sir?
Yeah, Kevin Stone again.
Hold on. We got one.
Well, that's okay. Thank you. Nice to meet you. And it's on. There you go. Thank you for your time. Question: are community residents able to enter the precinct to do business at this point? Because I had an experience when I walked in that I was told to stand outside if I needed to make a report and someone would come outside to speak.
I would just like to follow up with a question. Is that at the 40 person?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to doing business, what type of business are you talking about?
Well, it's police business, if I wanted to make a report or anything.
Absolutely, yes.
Right.
So as you walk into the 40 precinct, we have chairs right outside, and we have an officer that triages any
you know, anyone walking in for it to make a report. We try to do that as expediently as we can, all right, depending on circumstances, so. So what incident was that?
I don't wanna say right now.
We can sidebar after.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was just that, you know, when we walked in, we were told to stand outside and someone would come and talk to us.
It feels very hostile when you go there, it feels very hostile.
It's not welcoming.
I'll take that back and, discuss that with the executive.
And by the way, your job is not easy. I give you respect.
And I have another question, I'm sorry. In regards to the, you know, what you mentioned as being hostile, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Yes.
Well, it's just, you know, how do I want to put this?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we address the concerns.
Put it the way it is. Give it to them.
I can do it.
It's just that when you approach someone, there's a manner in which you approach someone. Like, I can see these guys in the street and I can, you know, and say, hey, be safe, how's it going? And, you know, and they can say, you know, hey, what's up? But when you walk into a police station and you're not met with warmth, it's pretty much like a standoffish attitude, well, go wait outside, someone can talk to you. There's no reason given to me why I need to go wait outside to come do police business. I'm not selling cookies or chocolate bars, you know, I'm coming to you. And really, you don't know what my business is, but I'm being told to go outside and wait for someone to come talk to me.
Okay, yeah, thank you for that, thank you. We're gonna make note of it because that's definitely not something that should be happening.
Hold on, Mr.
Well, Officer Rowan, thank you so much for the work that you do. My name is Christina Cover. I'm on the Education, Youth, and Young Adult Committee, and I'm a teacher that live in Mount Haven, near Mount Haven. I just have two questions that we might have answers to. The first is, I'm around like 141st, like Willis, and I've noticed that there's a police truck that's posted up along Willis. There are some other places. Do police have a regular like presence program in certain areas of Mount Haven, or they're just keeping presence? I just have been curious about that in the neighborhood. That's like Willis Avenue, you know, Willis and 141st, 140th.
So anytime you see police presence, everything has a purpose. The reason why we move resources around is it's directly related to the crime at that specific time. Because we might have, you know, a spike in robberies, right? So we might have to put, yes.
That's good, just to keep an eye on the area and make sure, you know, folks know that you're present.
Correct, yes.
Well, thank you for that. And then the second thing, is it okay to ask that question? The second thing I wanted to ask was, there have been community groups and organizers really interested in addressing syringe, you know, just a long-standing issue around syringe collection and supporting folks struggling with substance abuse, especially around St. Mary's Park. So I wanted to ask your perspective on syringe collection, or your experience on like syringes around St. Mary's Park, or if, you know, what can be done to address pickup in the area, or what the precinct thinks about that.
Alright, so I just checked in, like I said, it's my fourth day.
Sure.
However, I will tell you this, St. Mary's Park, I've been around, you know, I drove by it. What we'll do is we're gonna take note of that, and we'll answer that question. Okay?
That's more of a sanitation and community groups are involved, and the Parks Department, and we've had that issue here before. We've discussed it a million times. We're working on it, but that's not the police's role to pick up.
Thank you.
It's all right. It's not a legitimate question.
I can't say that we do joint operations with sanitation.
They see it, they report it, and you know, goes down the line.
Hi, good evening. My name is Laura. I'm sorry to be late. I'm not sure if this question was addressed. What's your name?
Captain Jose Ramos, I just checked in, newly XO, checked in.
Welcome to the Bronx.
Glad to be here.
Break it down. And the question that I have for you, we're having an issue in my neighborhood. I don't know if you noticed that, Mr. That on St. Anne's Avenue, they're grilling. The other day I came home and literally there were flames coming from the grill right in between 756 St. Anne's Avenue and 800, more towards the laundromat there. And they're really, they're picnicking, they're doing all kinds of stuff, they're opening the fire hydrant. I just wanted to know, are people permitted to do that? Because my understanding is that barbecuing on the street is not allowed?
It is not.
Or how about the hydrants?
No, it's not. It's still public street.
Okay, and then there's also on Brook Avenue, there is a grill with a red top that's literally on in the evenings all day or from whatever they're doing throughout the day, and that's 156 in Brook Avenue in front of the new bodega that's there across from the pharmacy and Department of Finance. So it's like they are all set up. And I'm a little concerned because there are a lot of fires going on. I'm also concerned for the children who are running into St. Anne's Avenue with the fire hydrants open. Are they permitted for that also?
No.
Okay, just wanted to know if you can have your police come throughout the day, because that particular group, every year, they're doing that. And it's a really big concern, as far as I'm concerned, with the fire and the children running out. I know they have, cones there. I was wondering if the city actually provided that to them, because
Not that I'm aware.
it's a big avenue, a lot of cars, a lot of people, a lot of issues just passing through. And if someone can please come over on a daily. And I don't want to put it on 311, because 311 is not anonymous, and I don't need issues from these people, because we all live at street level. So we'd like you to address it.
Yes, absolutely. Look, we have a quality of life division team at the 40th precinct. We have two of the officers right here. We're gonna take note of the locations and address them. Possibly next community meeting, then we'll be, or maybe they can take your information down and they could follow
I
up.
don't want my information, I'll be bothering you if I'm
You can follow them, and you can also take mine. I don't want to be bothered. You can bother me all day.
We have one more question here. One more.
Two quick questions. So one of them is I do a mass capacity for officers in the precinct. That's the first question. And the second question has to be are you enforcing people not doing car washing in the streets? Because I see a lot of people car washing and then I can't say anything to them because I'm not a short person.
Well, you say you're a short person and let big people, you call us. All right? Listen, when it comes to car washes, they're illegal in New York City. You can't just pop up a car wash and start washing cars, right? Can you repeat your first question? Okay, you said about manpower. Manpower, we have a lot of resources in the 40th precinct. We do. At this time, we have a lot of resources.
No, I said, are you maxed
out?
No, we're not.
Okay.
How many officers do you need?
All right,
I gotta take a look at it, but last I checked, we're not max capacity.
Okay.
And that's across the department.
Mr. Ambrose, last question, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Captain. I mean, we have what you guys doing to defend us, but the 40th precinct, there is no law coming there. Okay, and this is about the second time. I think that we in a community where we are your back home, we share, we kind of work together. But once you step on those steps, there's a problem. I'm riding my bike. There's outside of the 40th precinct, there's a room outside. There's a poster on the door. I park my bike and I'm walking, and I walk up, I'm looking at it. I'm reading what's going on. Two officers walk out there. Really, do not handle me very well. They were not polite at all. Like I said, I walk up the stairs to read what's posted there. I didn't have to tell him who I was. I'm meeting, I did nothing, I just parked my bike, want to read. He walk up to me, I said, I just want to read. And I turn around, ask him, can you then tell me what's written there? He doesn't know. And the second one comes out. Instead of trying to find out what's going on, he just becomes the aggressive. I think this is something that we have to, a relationship is right. It's both ways. The uniform doesn't make you more than human. It just gives you a power to control certain things. But you can't go that far. And the second time, I'm standing right in front on the steps, they're talking to somebody. They're asking me a question. They're asking me to move. Do I look like somebody that can cause harm without anything in my hand? Nothing. And I think this is one of those things that, when the brother was saying that, I just couldn't hold myself from bringing this issue up. Oftentimes, I have to walk in there and go talk to the CEO. I do that. And a lot of time, I had a situation before where I literally walk in there, I ask the CEO to call that officer so we can have a relationship, talk like two people, so I can express myself. I can't always have to do that. Everyone here does not have a time or courage to walk into the police and say, I want to talk to the CEO right now. And I want that officer to come here so we can see what am I doing wrong. We need to try to be human. Yes, we understand you guys want to live in the community. We understand that. And another second thing is that you will never see two officers standing on a corner. You walk and say, hey, good morning. They will not respond to you. And I do this all the time. What is this that we are doing wrong? I work downtown, but let me tell you this. The relationship downtown with the officer are different. And guess what? You look like me. Any one of you look like me. Why do we behave like that?
So
what is this?
So I'm an advocate for ensuring that we address the human before we address the condition. I just checked in, but like I told you, I'm gonna give you my word that the officers in the 40th precinct, right? We're gonna make it our business to ensure that they treat everyone with respect, they're personable, right? And that, that's one of the things you have to have tact, right? That's one of the things that I take pride in, the fact that we are the voice of the community. That's who we are. So if that's one of, like I said, maybe we could sidebar after, so you can tell me who it was, and if it's happened in the past, and it goes across to everybody here as well. That's not tolerated.
Because it's not necessary to do that. We're not criminals. We're going there for help. I might have, your lady may have gone through a big trauma, and she's walking in and not familiar with hostility. I know that because when I go there, it's the same thing. It's a lot of hostility, and they have to stop doing that.
I have one more question here, just last one right here, I have to move on.
Sorry about that. I don't mean to cut you off, Lori, you have a legitimate point. My other question was, and I'm sorry I didn't ask it before, was the fact that 42nd has an online exchange program in front of their doorsteps for people who purchase things online and sell them to others. Do you have that at 48? Because I don't see it anywhere, and do you have it where an officer is present? Because our safety in the community is important. And again, to ask this question, I have entered into the 40th precinct, and professionalism is a little lacking.
Understood. I'll make note of it and ensure that we work to rectify that condition. I'm gonna have one of the following life teams answer the question as it relates to what it is across the city. We have certain locations where officers respond when they're either purchasing, exchange of goods, products.
Okay, I would like to Officer Chowdhury for the Officer Chowdhury for the part of the Quality Life Division. To answer two of your questions, with the 311, you could actually put it as anonymous.
Give him a mic, give him the mic.
And then, all right, you guys hear me? Yeah. All right, so to answer your second question, you could actually exchange items right in front of the precinct.
Okay, with an officer there?
Yes.
All right, so to answer your question of the anonymity, I've done that, and the officers still come to my door, and I'm sorry, in our neighborhood, as Ms. Goodwin can attest, we did, at the time, we had a criminal element, and it was a little sketchy for me to be alone once the officers came.
Can I ask a question though? Was it an incident where someone else might have also called 911 instead of 311?
311 gets called, and when I had 311 several times, they've come to my door, and that's an issue, because they come, of course, in uniform, and that kind of signals us.
So I would just have to take a look at that, because as far as I know, anonymous 301s, we don't get that information. There used to be this thing where the CO, XO, and ICO, Internal Control Officer, gets it, or they can actually acquire the number, but that's no longer the case. All right, well, we'll have to take a look at that, because that's not, that's not what we're trying.
shouldn't be happening.
Shouldn't be happening, correct, yeah.
Thank you, we're gonna move on. Thank you very much for the presentation.
No problem.
Thank you. You wanna share your telephone number, just in case someone here wants to call? Before you leave, John.
All right, the number is 917-684-0944.
Thank you.
Again, I said that's 917-684-0944, Captain Jose Ramos.
Thank you very much.
No problem, thank you.
Is there anyone here from PSA 7? Anyone here from the mayor's office? Anyone here from the Bronxville President's office? Or mayor's office is here? Thank you.
I'll keep it as short as possible. I know this is. I just want to make sure everyone can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm just trying to keep it as short as possible. As you know, this is one of the last meetings. We had a few announcements. I did send out emails to notify the board that the town hall that was due was actually preparing for on the 23rd had gotten delayed because of the heat. We were thinking about our seniors. We also was thinking about community, so we want to prioritize safety first before we even implement that. So I'll keep everyone posted on that. I do know that last night there was another announcement that was actually made from the mayor in partnership with Breaking Ground to. So
Excuse me, can we have, can we take it to the back, because we can't really hear. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman. So the mayor actually just announced affordable housing. So one of the initiatives he had done on Monday was a partnership with Breaking Ground, which was to allow or to open opportunities for affordable housing. So that's something that took place, and he just made an announcement on that. Other than that, that's pretty much my updates. I will keep everyone posted on the next town hall that's going to be occurring. There are a few events, if anyone's interested in LGBTQ events, I can definitely share that information with you as well. Mr. Chairman, I understand the circumstances today. I will make sure to, take note of that, and we'll follow up with the board afterwards.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Wood has a question. Wait, yeah.
This is more so like a statement than a question.
Sure.
These initiatives that are coming out about affordable housing, we need an office within your administration so people can go there and say what's happening to them when they apply for these affordable housing. What happens with Housing Connect? Some people are on Housing Connect 3 and 4 years. Some people applying for affordable housing. What is affordable housing? It needs to be explained and elaborated because people from me up, I'm 76, but they don't have the income to get into most of these houses that you're saying affordable. My thing is there has to be a gap where the mayor can listen to people and know what's actually going on. It's totally impossible to keep saying they're built for affordable housing, but people can't get in them. So you take the people out of shelters, okay, that are getting help, so because they can pay the money, they're gonna pay a certain amount, and then get the housing. Because why is somebody on a Housing Connect for 3 or 4 years? We're getting lost with this affordable housing, that's all I'm saying.
I definitely hear you, and I will, let me just answer the question real quick. So,
Question, right?
we're actually, and this is a good reason enough to come to our town hall that we're planning to put together. I think you should bring that argument to the table. I think that's a good valid point. So before I leave, I want to make sure I get your contact information. And I will take a note of that. I will bring that up to my commissioner as well, so that we can take that into consideration. Yeah. Is there any other questions?
Members of the board, and then I'll ask the general public. If they have
Right
any.
here, Mr. Daniel Barr. So, I know you're gonna take this back to your commissioner. Let's go back to the affordable housing. Well, before we get to that, NYCHA, public housing. This administration has not really stood up to its commitment to really fund public housing the way that it should. And with the talk around building new housing and affordable housing, as quick as the city is bumping off the nitrogen developments to private contractors to operate and to run, there's no place for the city to put all of the residents from public housing. With the numbers being way above the long drawn out 400,000, where it's actually at 1.5 million public housing residents and maybe more, and that's just legal. That's not counting the illegal residents. How can the city continue to use terminologies and languages like affordable housing? Because what's affordable for you and your commissioner may definitely not be affordable for me and everybody else in my community. Since this was the poorest congressional district for decades, and it only changed to rezone lines for elections.
I'm sorry. I was just waiting for the question. That's
Well,
right.
it was more of a statement.
And that's it. That's what I figured. It was a statement. So I just wanted to
I would
know that.
suggest that we ask questions so he can take back. I understand you want to make a comment, that's fine. If you have a question, we need answers to. He's not the mayor.
Yeah. So just for my the eyes and ears, so I just want to be very clear on that. I may not have the question, the answers to every question, but I will be taking notes to make sure that I reflect that information back to my supervisor or my commissioner. But once I get that information, I'll definitely give you an email or just follow up with you to make sure that I get that response immediately.
Mr. York.
The question has to do with data. So I think there was of the New York City Open Data, DC 42, I think it was. And well, that data was supposed to have the units, like, it's a single units, studios, or whatever. And then there was a lot of problems with the data. So I wanted to know if the mayor, you could take it to the mayor's office, and they could provide better data for the public so we could know what's happening in regards to housing, because we get information here and there, and it's very hard to know what's actually happening in regards to housing because of the data that got the data, so what do you have?
Could you state your name one more time?
Cesar York.
Okay, and where did you obtain this information in terms of the data? Are you referring to our website or just to get clarity?
It's New York City Open Data, so you just search for housing that's happening now, and there's some data available, but then when you look at it, it seems like it's only studios that are being constructed, that's what the data looks, but there's a lot of missing information. So maybe I will talk to you later about it, but yeah, I wanted to know about it doing by public data to us, so we know what's happening in housing.
Okay, so I think we'll sit down with you and discuss the website in order to grasp a better understanding of where your concerns are.
Thank you, ma'am. State your name, please.
Hi, my name is Christina. I have a question.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Christina. Hi, I have a question regarding housing and building housing in the Bronx, especially in community board. There are several sites in community board funds that the city owns and has not released on RFPs as of yet. And these sites are primed for redevelopment and keep getting the same answers up. It's coming up. How fast and what are you guys doing to release the sites so we can build affordable housing and so we can rehab housing for homeownership in the Bronx, especially in this community?
So in terms of, hold on.
Thank you, Mr. Director. So thank you for your question. We have with us Mr. Ted Weinstein, who's the Director of Development for the Bronx Office of the Department of Housing, Preservation, and Development. He would love to answer your question. Is that fair?
Okay, Ted Weinstein, Director of Bronx Planning for HPD. First, there aren't that many city-owned developable properties left in the Bronx, frankly. And what happens is, there's a budget every year, and when we can, and for those 5 boroughs, we do issue an RFP. Generally speaking, if the city-owned land that we're going to offer to be developed as housing, so we do a competitive process, usually for request for proposals. And that's what we've been doing. We had we just, again, once the selection is made, we get submissions to be 5, 10, 12 different development teams. We review them, our architects review them, the planners review them, the finance people review them, and then some team that the project is picked. Then, if it's city-owned property, we have to go through the ULEP process, as you will know, which includes having a presentation to and a vote by the community board, and then the borough president, the city planning commission, city council, to approve the disposition, the conveyance of that city-owned land to the developer to build a specific type of housing. Sometimes there's a rezoning involved, there can be some other things, but basically it's for the conveyance. Right now, I will tell you that there is a site on Powers Avenue, 351 Powers, right next to the school, that was in an RFP. Last year, there was a selection made for the team they're gonna build. We're doing all the preliminary work now to get it ready for that ULEP. We are hoping that what happens is we put together the ULEP application, and then we submit it to the Department of City Planning. And then if it's all right, I don't know if it's gonna be start ULEP, that's in front of the community board. We are hoping to have that done later this year, which means that that project, which has been presented to your committee, your Housing Management Committee, but then once ULEP starts officially, so we'll come back with the development team, there'll be a presentation and a public hearing, so members of the public can come as well and comment, and then, like I said, it goes through its 4 steps. And so we expect for that particular site that we'll be starting that process later this year. There's another large site that is on Exterior Street and 138th Street, right next to the Madison Avenue Bridge. And there, we also were working with a development team. It was actually two different developers, very experienced, and they were working with. And we're hoping that by the end of the year, by December, we'll be able to start ULEP on that one as well. It's going to be 2 buildings, a total of over 500 units. One will be a family building, one will be a senior building. And there are other sites now. If there's a specific site that you have in mind that you'd like to know more about, I will give you my card. You can contact us. This is Astrid Walker, who is on my team as well. So if you want to find out about a specific site, it may not be city-owned, maybe a piece of land may not be city-owned, but we'll be happy to look into it.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you. Gloria.
So I work for a city council member. Can you ask your team why did it take 3 hours and 40 minutes to get an answer from HRA?
I can definitely reiterate that. Yes.
It's happening on our week. 3 hours and 40 minutes.
I can definitely do that. And just to add on to that, answer that you had, it's very important, especially now, to attend community board meetings, because I know the community, especially during the ULEP process, they have these important discussions. Now, when people are not attending these meetings, we have this back and forth of not understanding, I wasn't told that this was gonna occur in our community. So I just want to be very adamant of participation is very key, especially when it comes to our neighborhoods. And just thinking about it, I understand everyone works a 9-to-5 job, but try to participate at least in one committee meeting, because it's not just about the general board meeting, right? So I just want to make sure that everyone's aware of that. And today's a primary example of that. So it's very important to advocate not just for yourself, but the people that comes next. And thank you so much. I appreciate the time that I know it's cute for time, but I just want to make sure that I just reiterate the message. Yeah.
Thank you. No questions, we're gonna move on to the Borough President's office.
All right, thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, please have a great summer.
Anyone from the Borough President's office?
Yeah, thanks.
You have, Mr. Francis, question, right? Stand up, sir. Ask a question.
Yeah, Herman Francis, Herman says, New York State Housing Authority, if I remember correctly, was built for one reason only, that the rent was too high and the city wasn't supposed to afford the rent. All I hear about is affordable housing was supposed to be about low income housing, when the New York State public housing was first built back in the 30s. Law says the warehouse and empty apartments. And the community neighborhoods outside the city of New York, they take all these homeless people, give them a one-way bus ticket and ship them right here to New York City. What happened to low-income housing? This message came up over 30 years ago, and solution was right here. And they could build concourse buildings, modern seat airlines over the railroad tracks. How come we cannot put low-income housing over there? What is the policy of the city of New York with this $115 billion budget?
So, I think the gentleman did answer it correctly earlier. He stated that there's certain properties that are under control of the city, and then there's other properties that are private. So we gotta figure out that the city can actually build on that. And it comes down to sitting on the committee that deals with land in order for you to get that answer.
Well, the airbags is public housing over the railroad track. Concourse buildings built over the railroad track.
I understand that, and I hear your frustration, but at the same time, we want to be able to make sure that, you know, you're supposed to be participating in those meetings, but I won't be able to answer that, but I know he did clearly state that, you know, that we have to evaluate those locations in order for us to move forward.
I gotta commend you. We've had our fight. This is the first time I've seen you ask a question.
And I appreciate it.
Don't mess it up. Don't mess it up. Don't ask the question. Don't mess it up. Don't jack this up, man. Come on.
That the city of New York was going to build, or going to waterfront over 90,000, I was here at that presentation. It was going to go from Yankee Skate when we run up to Hunts Point. My question is a very simple one. If just half of apartments have one child, how many schools are going to build? They'll still get it. But the first apartment never got built. What happens to developers on the waterfront for these apartments for low-income people?
Well, I tell you this, I don't have the answer to that right now, but I will get back to you, because I think that is a valid question. And I know I see a lot of heads going up and down, so I just want to make sure that I'm able to answer it correctly, and then, Mr. Chair, for the next meeting, I can definitely bring back your response.
You went 2 for 2.
Right, great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've never seen this man answer a question in 16 years. I've had to fight with him, escort him out, throw him out. You did well, Mr. Francis. All right, let's move on. Borough President's office. Wrong glasses. Okay, no one here. United States Congress, anyone from Richie Torres' office? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. New York State Senate, Jose M. Serrano? Yes, thank you. Yes.
Good evening, can everyone hear me? Yes. All right, perfect. So my name is Ariana, Community Liaison from Senator Swan's office. Real quick, I just want to share some information about our constituent hours for July. So, as the person mentioned, it's important to come here to the CB meetings. It's also important to encourage the community to call our offices, right? Some people, they think that if they like, to put it in better words, it's better for us to know what's going on from the community. So we have to encourage everybody to call us, and that way we can help them directly. So since our office is located at 100th Street in Manhattan, between 1st and 2nd Avenue, we always try to go once a week to outside, probably senior centers or libraries. So for July, I wanted to share that we're gonna be at Hope Senior Center, which is at 68 Avenue on July 3rd from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. We're gonna be also at Patterson House Senior Center on July 17th from 11 to 2. And the Melrose Library partnering with Senator Sepulveda at 910 Morris Avenue, that's gonna be July 31st. And also we are all Wednesdays at Councilman Reala's office from 10:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 214 Anne's Avenue. Again, we are always open for everybody. We're Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. And I want to share our phone number, which is 212-828-5829. Again, it's 212-828-5829. Sorry. Thank you.
Any questions for, the senator's office?
Right, so the question that I have, everyone's asking for civic engagement. However, I've been advocating for virtual meeting attendance. So the technology, is it being invested in? Is there some sort of a passage of legislation that would allow board members to attend virtually to these meetings if they're unable to do so? I came in late tonight. I would appreciate it to be on the phone to know what was going on. But unfortunately, there seems to be a lot of, I don't know, it's not really accessible at this time. I know we're being recorded. However, I would like for members to be able to attend virtually. What is the issue with that? Is there technology that needs to be invested in for this?
Right, so when you said, let me see if I understand what your question. So you said to attend to this meeting?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Virtually, sometimes there's options to do that. However, I don't think this, we're not currently coming to CP1, but I don't know if you guys have any options to do virtually.
Do we have, but let me just say, Mr. Jordan, give him clarity, because I think also there's an issue of when you do this, you have to disclose where you're at. Some people are not, they're not with that, they're not happy with that part, they're not, go ahead, give him the.
So, thank you, Chair. So, we are governed by something called open meetings law, the state law that requires, for all meetings to be open publicly, well, first to be publicly announced, publicly accessible and available at all times. The community board has to also vote on a resolution to allow hybrid virtual options for ability to do its business in order for it to operate in that way. This community board, since after COVID, voted to, in the instance of trying to bring everyone back into person, voted to have all of our operations and our meetings in person. But in addition to what the chairman is saying, the open meetings law requires that you have certain policies in place too that are required by law if you want to do a virtual option for people to participate. So in order for people to participate virtually, you need to do a couple of things. One, you need to have a quorum in person at the location for people virtually to vote. And if you want to be virtual, you have to have certain cause in order to be counted as or be able to participate virtually. For example, if you're medically sick, if you're taking care of a loved one, if you're doing certain things, and those things have to be verified first, because if not, then likely the whole entire meeting can sometimes end up being virtual with, and the issue with virtual, you have to also, just like in person, you have to have your meetings open for the general public to be able to observe and ask questions under the law. That is my understanding. Mr. Chair? So, and that, together with that, this board will have to go to a resolution to allow that, will have to be approved. But again, for a meeting to interact virtually, you need to have a quorum in place. And no, in person. And then you will need to also provide this information for why you choose to, or requesting, so requesting to be apt to operate virtual. Those are there may be some other options I'm missing, but you have to give that information and that has to be approved. And I'm gonna go get my parliamentarian.
Hello, so my name is Danny Ball, and I am new to your district. When the lines were rezoned, I lost Sepulveda and I gained Surround. You guys came to the community board meeting we had at the Dream Charter School. I spoke to the senator and his chief of staff. I told him I didn't like how some of my colleagues spoke of the interaction with the NYCHA developments that he covered, and I asked that he do not treat my development that way. I've reached out to your office, the chief of staff, everyone always gets back to me. Is gonna get back to me, but nobody does. I'm gonna do one last try tonight. I'm gonna give you my business card and tell him, if he doesn't need me to be live on social media, on YouTube with 1 million people to say how he's refusing to work with the residents of public housing, he needs to call me. Because I have 1.5 million people behind me. And I don't think he wants that. Thank you.
Thank you for addressing this. I'm gonna normally reach back to you, but I'll make sure that this information gets to the senator, so I'll get to you so you can have your business.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you, man.
Anyone here from, the Honorable Luis Sepulveda's office? Anyone here from Assemblywoman Chantel Jackson's office? Amanda Septimo's office? Thank you. That's Assemblywoman Amanda Septimo.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Whitney Bremat, Chief of Staff for Assemblymember Septimo. I don't have any special announcements, but want to take the time to remind you some of the things that we can help you with if you come to our office or if you call our office. I did want to quickly make a note, the points about the need for, hybrid and, virtual access. That is something we can help with. So if you, that doesn't do anything for this meeting, but if you need to get in contact with somebody and you'd like to meet with somebody virtually for any of the services I'm about to name, that's something that we can do. We can help with rent and tenant issues, food access, immigration issues, unemployment, disability. We have free legal advising, housing searches, veteran services, civic engagement, and honestly, even if it's not on this list, if you have an issue, please give us a call and we're gonna figure out whatever we can do to help you, even if it's just having us call another elected office at the city level or at the federal level. And we have a bilingual constituent liaison, so if you are only Spanish speaking, you can help with that also. Our hours are 9 to 4, Monday through Friday. However, now through Labor Day on Fridays, we will be closing at 12 noon. Our office is located at 384 East 149th Street, and our phone number is 718-292-2901. Any questions?
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone here from City Controller Brad Landers' office? Public Advocate Imani Williams? Honorable City Councilwoman Rafael Salamanca? And who's next is Deputy Speaker Diana Ayala. That's Gloria Cruz.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Gloria Cruz. I work for the Deputy Speaker, Diana Ayala. That was a big crowd. So tomorrow, they're having a HPD in their district. So they would be able to answer questions about how to apply for affordable housing, understand your rights and responsibilities, file housing complaints, finance improvements and repairs to register building, remediate violations. So they're more there it's a van and they're there to give you all the information that you need. If you have any questions for HPD, that will be able to navigate what we need to do with HPD. Our office is open from 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Please feel free to call us, or flyers, and agreements, like it was the last meeting. But the address is 214 St. Anne's Avenue, and the email is gcruz@council.nyc.gov. Any questions or any concerns? Just to say, we are a data-driven city, and 311 does work. Yes, they do call, and when they do call you back, because it comes out of the call ID. So when they call you back, and they'll ask you questions, they ask you to go downstairs and identify the kids that were breaking the car. And I told them, no, are you kidding me? They were like, okay. So it does work though. It's important that we do that because there's a lot of quality of life issues, and with this new team that we have at the 4-0, they just need to be addressed, and we need to have the data in order to get more officers and more things for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria.
Oh, and Councilmember would like to go back, but I should say something.
Thank you. Bronx DA's office? Darcel Clark.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shumana Escalera. I am a community engagement coordinator for the DA. We don't have any current events going on. We do have some events coming up in September. You guys can keep a lookout for another reentry fair. We'll be providing suits as well as job readiness programs, resume building workshops, as well as other things during the reentry fair. And then we also like to say thank you to the community. We recently had our beautification project in St. Mary's Park, and a lot of you came out and showed out and helped us plant plants for those who lost their lives to gun violence. So when you guys walk past St. Mary's Park, on the 149 side of St. Mary's Park, you'll see a garden of orange flowers. Those flowers will be there for eternity, and we're gonna continue to do this project annually. So when you do see those flowers, just think of those who lost their lives to gun violence. Once again, June is Gun Violence Awareness Month, so you'll see a lot of orange. We'd like to thank you for participating, and have a great summer. Thank you.
Thank you. And so last but not least, we're gonna, since we just changed the whole agenda around, we have a public session speaker really quick. Mr. Socrates Solano from Lakewood Hospital has an announcement.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody? Okay, I'm gonna make it brief and I'm gonna get out of here, right? All right, so number one, most important thing, you look at that flyer over there, that poster we put up. Tomorrow we're having our community barbecue in honor of Gun Violence Awareness Month. So please come out. It's from 3 to 5. We're gonna have a lot of food, have a lot of entertainment. We welcome everyone to come by to that barbecue. All right. That's number one. Number two, we're gonna remind the board that starting next month, we're gonna remodel the auditorium. All right, which means that you guys will be here for a couple months, right? Well, we're gonna break for the summer, but even when we come back from the summer, I think we need a couple more months. So we'll maintain contact with Mr. Anthony George, your district manager, and we'll let you guys know how it's going. But the remodel's gonna be, you're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. It's gonna be state of the art. I'm gonna bring this to 2025 and beyond. All right. So, and of course, we always welcome the board to come and continue doing the meetings here. We love to have you here. All right. And last thing I'll say is, have a wonderful summer. All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's meeting. Obviously, we didn't have quorum. There were voting items that were on the agenda that couldn't, the business of the people was not taken care of today. Please heed my warning, make those calls to the borough president's office. Please let them know your dissatisfaction with how this process went. There were people that requested letters of support, couldn't get that done. You guys showed up. We thank you very much for doing that. All the board members that are here, thank you. Have a great summer. We won't be back till September.
Thank you. There's no motion because there's no quorum. Oh, thank you. Mr. Vedi, thank you, Mr. Chair.